Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of January 6, Monday. I'm Jamie Harrell. Jump-starting today's rush with the government readying a possible evacuation of overseas Filipino working in the Middle East amid rising tensions in the region. President Duterte met with military and police officials to discuss moves to accommodate OFWs residing in war-torn countries Iran and Iraq. Duterte instructed the AFP to prepare its air and naval units in evacuating Filipinos in the Middle East who may want to go home as hostilities rise. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a strike against Iran on Friday, killing a top Iranian military in the process. Qasem Soleimani, head of Tehran's elite Quds force and architect of Iran's spreading military influence in the Middle East, and his advisor, Iraqi militia commander Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, were killed in the attack. The White House says Soleimani is involved in plans targeting American diplomats and soldiers in the region. Justice Secretary Menardo de Guevara says the department is ready to implement a deployment ban to the Middle East should the DFA and Labor Department order it. The Trade Union Congress of the Philippines estimates at least 1 million Filipinos working in the Middle East. However, Labor Chief Bebot Bello has noted that there is no existing labor agreement between the Philippines and Iran, which means Filipinos there are more likely working under illegal conditions. Another earthquake has rocked Mindanao earlier this morning. A magnitude 5.4 quake jolted Governor Generoso Davao Oriental minutes before 3 a.m. today. Aftershocks are expected from this earthquake. Intensity 4 was recorded in Governor Generoso, while Intensity 3 was recorded in Alabel and Malungon and Sarangani. Intensity 2 was also felt in Kiamba, Sarangani, General Santos City, and Tupi, South Cotabato, while Intensity 1 was recorded in Coronadal City. Here are some of the day's biggest stories. The NCRPO is suggesting to put barbed wires on the beams of Ayala Bridge to prevent devotees from climbing up and jumping into the image's carriage. However, some devotees were quick to point out that the move may do more harm than good. This year's traslation will deviate from using the Jones Bridge, which was the usual route in the previous processions. This year, the Ayala Bridge will be used instead. Over 11,000 police officers will be deployed on January 9 from the procession, and 1,500 of whom will be assigned at the front to clear the path. The MMDA has also released the new route of the Black Nazarene procession this Thursday. The annual procession will still start at the Quirino Grandstand and at Quiapo Church. But this will be 300 meters shorter than usual stretch due to the ongoing renovations at the Jones and MacArthur bridges. And to accommodate the expected surge of passengers during the traslation, the LRMC has postponed its planned implementation of the new passenger traffic scheme. This means that LRT1 passengers can still enjoy direct trips to Roosevelt Station in Quezon City until January 9 or later. The tail end of a cold front is currently affecting southern Luzon. Will this be affecting the weather in this year's traslation? Well, let's get the answer straight from Pag-asa. Joining us on the line is weather forecaster Alzar Aurelio. Good morning, Alzar. What are the latest on the weather conditions?
Hello, good morning, Jamie. Yes, as of this moment, two weather systems still are affecting the country. The cold front affecting southern Luzon and eastern Visayas, while northeast monsoon affecting the rest of Luzon. Because of this weather system, we expect cloudy sky with scattered rains and isolated thunderstorm over Bicol region, Romblon, Marinduque, Oriental Mindoro, and Samar provinces. Also, cloudy sky with scattered light rains will be experienced over Cagayan, Isabela, Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino, Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Aurora, and Quezon. The rest of the country, including Metro Manila, will have fair weather, but we expect isolated rain showers. And the day of the translation, we can see generally good weather, not only here in Metro Manila, but also in different parts of the country. But we expect a localized thunderstorm in the afternoon or evening. No tropical cyclone or low pressure area are expected to form inside the Philippine area of responsibility within 5 days. From Pag-asa, I am Alzar D. Aurelio.
Thank you, Pag-asa weather forecaster Alzar Aurelio. Members of the Ampatuan clan are trying to appeal their conviction on the Maguindanao massacre case, but a former lawyer for the victim says it's unlikely they'll get a reprieve from the appellate court. Marilyn Alcaide has the report.
Just a few hours before the appeal period lapses for those indicted in the Maguindanao massacre case, former ARMM Governor Zaldy Ampatuan appealed his conviction before the Quezon City Regional Trial Court 221. His notice said that he will appeal his verdict before the Court of Appeals. On top of that, he filed an urgent motion to the QCRTC to transfer him to the New Bilibid Infirmary for his therapy and medication. Before his conviction, he stayed at the hospital for 58 days after allegedly suffering from stroke. Zaldy, together with 21 others, have filed notices of appeal. The other convicted members of the Ampatuan clan wasted no time to appeal the guilty verdict handed to them by Quezon City Judge Jocelyn Solis Reyes. Primary suspect Andal Ampatuan Jr. alias Onsay will plead the ruling directly to the Court of Appeals. The patriarch Anwar Ampatuan Sr., along with his sons Anwar Jr. and Anwar Sajid alias Dato Ulo, had also filed a motion for reconsideration on Thursday. In their motion, they denied any involvement in the killings. Anwar Sr. also belied statements of suspect-turned-state witness Sukarno Badal, saying he's not even present in the meetings where he alleged the conception of the plans for the killings. Meanwhile, the victim's former prosecutor, Attorney Harry Roque, says the convicted Ampatuan Kins have every right to appeal, although he doubts if the appellate court will still reverse the decision. Regarding Zaldy's request to be transferred to the infirmary, Roque suggests doctors should determine if he really requires medical assistance. If Bilibid is equipped to watch after him, he sees no problem with it. But if Zaldy is to receive luxurious treatment, that's something he would object. Roque also says that they will appeal for higher moral exemplary damages as well as bigger civil indemnity for the Kins of the Maguindanao massacre victims. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Here are the biggest stories from the dailies. The Health Department has instructed the Bureau of Quarantine to implement stricter monitoring of air and sea passengers coming into the Philippines from China, following reports of pneumonia-like outbreak in the East Asian country. Filipino Star ngayon reports that at least 44 people in China have been infected with the virus and developed symptoms similar to pneumonia. These include fever and other signs of respiratory infection. This is from the Freeman. Around 40 houses were ravaged by fire that broke out at the back of T. Padilla Public Market in Cebu City on Saturday. This is the second fire incident in the city in 2 days. 2 were injured following the fire, which reached fourth alarm. Fire officials estimate the cost at around 500,000 pesos. And the Technical Working Group on Motorcycle Taxis claim Angkas has foreign ownership issues. The group explained that Angkas has not met the 60-40 foreign equity requirement and claims that the company provisional operation was just a privilege. Citing records from the SEC, the Philippine Star reports that Angkas is supposedly almost 100% owned by Singaporean Angeline Pham, who was a former executive of Grab. On the other hand, a third-party transport group is considering to file graft charges against the DOTR's Technical Working Group as it seeks transparency in the selection process of motorcycle taxi players. Here's the story.
Lawyers for Commuter Safety and Protection, or LCSP, throws shade at DOTR's technical working group and its selection of new participants in the extended pilot study for motorcycle taxis. The pilot run involving Angkas was supposed to end in December, but the TWG extended it for another 3 months and added 2 new players, Joyride and Move It. LCSP decries the lack of consultation among stakeholders and the creation of a technical working group which was not disclosed.
Walang mga monthly hearings, and before we knew it, ay biglang na-constitute yung bagong technical working group, and then suddenly there were 2 motorcycle taxis who apparently have already been qualified to participate in the pilot program.
LCSP now plans to file a graft complaint against the technical working group. Joyride, which has been drawing flack for reports linking it to politicians, has clarified that Senators Bongo and Manny Pacquiao are not stakeholders in the company. Senator Coco Pimentel, meanwhile, came out with a statement saying that he did in fact endorse Joyride to the DOTR, but only to avoid Angkas's monopoly. LCSP said it has nothing against bringing in new players so long as the process remains transparent.
What we are against is the process. We want transparency pagdating dito sa mga ganitong mga bagay. Hindi pwede na isang ahensya lamang ang kumikilos, lalong-lalo pa pag ang involved dito ay yung riding public.
The Transportation Department insists that they had a strict selection process with only 3 companies passing out of the 11 interested parties.
Here are the stories to watch out for later today. President Duterte will be finally signing this year's national budget. Youth groups will be trooping to the U.S. Embassy to condemn American President Donald Trump for inciting war against countries in the Middle East. And 3 days before the annual Traslation, Quiapo Church will be having a media briefing to discuss their preparations for the procession of the Black Nazarene. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us next time for another round of Rush. For Risa Diaz, I'm Jamie Harrell, and we are One News.